This episode contains discussions of death, mental health, and potentially distressing content. Listener discretion is advised. If you or someone you know is struggling, please seek professional support. It was a quiet Sunday morning in Burari, a bustling neighborhood in North Delhi. Shops were just opening, birds were chirping, and inside one modest house, silence hung heavier than the air. 11 members of a single family, grandparents, parents, children, were all found dead. 10 of them were hanging in a ritualistic circle. The 11th, the matriarch, lying lifeless in the next room. No signs of struggle, no forced entry. Just a haunting scene and a dozen questions the city and the country still can't answer. Welcome to Up Late with Nate and Josh, where we dig deep into the most chilling, perplexing, and often misunderstood true crime stories. Today, we unravel the deeply disturbing and mysterious case of the Burari deaths. Was it suicide, murder, a spiritual ritual gone horribly wrong? Or was it the devastating result of an untreated mental illness? This is not just a story. It's a story of belief, fear, family, and the fine line between faith and delusion. Let's begin. What is going on, all my Daisy Muppets? Yeah, I didn't even say that right.
No, Daisy Muppets, and
no,
just a fun.
Not they. Daisy.
Daisy.
Yeah. Fuck, man, I'm losing my twang.
Yeah. Yeah. Did just for the fun fact for the listeners, we were actually we were gonna be called Daisy Muppets.
Yep.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, we were, and you know what? It fits perfectly.
It does. Yeah.
But to the listeners who are listening, you're now all officially Daisy Muppets. Whether you're white, brown, green, like Piccolo.
Yeah.
Yep. And that was Nat plucking a guitar string? No, I'm joking. It wasn't. He was bashing the boom arm.
No, plucking some strings. But welcome back.
Black attack. That was black on black crime. That's what that was.
Yeah. Welcome back, yes, everyone, to another mysterious, crazy episode of Up Late with Nate and Josh. Yeah. And Josh, you know how I with the last episode of the Wu family, it was like, you know,
Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang, the Wu gang,
Wu-Tang gang.
Wu-Tang gang. With the story of the Wu family, you know, I did mention on the podcast that cases like this don't happen. You know, and these are very rare type of.
It's funny you say that because obviously cases like these do happen. Because
yeah, exactly, and that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, I did mention that cases like this don't happen on a thing. You know what I mean?
But I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, and, it doesn't happen on a regular basis.
Yeah, but there are cases, and that's the thing. You know, like out of the blue, you have like this whole. You know, this very sinister thing that happens, and it's not just one person doing it, right? It involves a whole fucking family, like the Wu family, right? Yeah. Now, this case is definitely different. Mm-hmm. Now, for all the listeners, please listen to the whole podcast, because at the end of the podcast, no matter what our theories are, there will be one particular point that I'm going to make at the end of the podcast that will change the whole dynamic of the story. Okay?
Well, fuck, don't make me wet myself, Nat.
So, let's begin.
Yeah, okay.
This case, Josh, is happened in this particular town, or it's a very close knit kind of you know, like a society, like a community in this place called Burari in New Delhi. Okay, and this particular case revolves around this particular family. Burari as a town as well was a very close-knit community, right? So everyone knew everyone. So if anyone goes missing or something's happened, the whole family is going to come together. If someone's getting married, everyone will come there and help the wedding as well. So if the family's poor, someone will pitch in and they'll help the family to get married. that's the idea of how Burari was. With the Bhatia family, it was a very well-to-do family. Okay, so well-to-do in the sense they didn't start quite wealthy. So they came from a town called Tohana in Haryana. Okay, Haryana is a bit further away from Delhi. So when they moved to Delhi, they were not well-to-do. But then with the sheer amount of hard work and
consistent laboring
and stuff like that,
accumulation of wealth.
Exactly. So they started building their wealth and stuff. Okay, and so they were very they started to get really good at business and stuff like that. So the Bhatia family, they lived in a 3-story house. They lived in Burari's Sant Nagar district. Okay, or not district but neighborhood basically, for around 20 years. So that's how long they've been in that area. For if you live in a locality or in a close-knit community for more than 10 years, you're a part of the family. You're like the whole, right? Yeah. So for 20 years, they lived there. Like I said, after moving from Tohana in Haryana. The family slowly started, opening up businesses. So the Bhatia family, they ran a grocery shop. Okay. And one of the brothers, Lalit, which will be the main character in our story, he opened up another business which was plywood. Okay, so plywood business in the same area. The members of the family were Narayani Devi, who was 80 years of age. Okay,
old bird.
Yeah, old bird. And she was the mother of Bhuvnesh, Lalit, and Pratibha. Now, Pratibha Bhatia, 57 years of age, she was a widowed daughter of Narayani Devi. So the daughter of the matriarch. Okay. Now Bhuvnesh, he was 50 and he was the eldest son of Narayani Devi. Okay. Then comes Lalit. He's the main person that we will talk about in this podcast. He was 45 and he was the youngest son of Narayani Devi. Now Savita, 48. Eldest daughter-in-law or elder daughter-in-law of Narayani Devi, who was the wife of Bhuvnesh. Then there was Tina. She was the younger daughter-in-law of Narayani Devi. She was the wife of this the son Lalit.
The second son.
Now Priyanka, she was 33 years of age, the only daughter of Pratibha. Okay. And then comes Neetu. She was 25, eldest daughter of Bhuvnesh. Okay. Then Menika, who was 23, younger daughter of Bhuvnesh. Dhruv, who was also called Dushyant, who was 15 years of age, the only son and the youngest child of Bhuvnesh. And Shivam, who was again 15 years of age, and he was the son of Lalit. Okay. So what happens is they come from, like I said, a big family. So these are like uncles living with their wives and their kids in this 3-story house. Okay, so it's a joint family basically, and in a lot of our Indian listeners will know what we're talking about. So a lot of Indians live in joint families where uncles, aunties, kids grow up together. It was the same with the Bhatia family as well. Now the problem is that the dad, Narayani Devi's husband, whose name was Bhopal Singh.
Was that the matriarch's husband?
Yes. He died of natural causes.
Oh, rough.
Now what happened is, once Bhopal Singh died, the family kind of lost their backbone pretty much. Because in India, your dads, who they're like your backbone. They'll be the one setting up the business. They'll be the one instructing the kids what to do and so on and so forth. So when Bhopal Singh died, basically the family kind of it impacted the family in a very big way. But the major, or if there was anyone who was the most impacted by this, right, was Lalit. So what happened is, when the dad passed away, Lalit became a very introverted guy. He stopped talking to people and stuff like that. So he never spoke after that. And I'm saying he became a mute after that. He never said a word after that. He never said a word. Now, the reason why I mentioned in earlier in the podcast is Lalit being one of the main persons that we're going to talk about, is that when he lost his father, he lost his voice. He never spoke. He became introverted. A lot of people also said that he might have gone through PTSD, but because diagnosis and stuff won't be that socially accepted. The other thing is, Lalit's story is not just traumatic at that point. It is said in some reports, and Lalit's friends, when he was back in school, they mentioned of an incident where Lalit actually had a bicycle accident.
Right, okay.
And the major part of his injury was his head. And he was a very bright student before that.
Yep.
Bright student, studying well, very funny. He was the, like the light of the party and stuff.
Yeah.
But then later, after that accident, he kind of became, he could not study. He would like doze off. He would fall asleep while in the middle of a conversation. Right. And then he completely lost his interest in studies. And that's when he grew up and they moved. And then he ended up opening up this plywood business. Mm-hmm. But that's not it. With Lalit, like the reason why I say is could be one of the most unluckiest guys, in our story, is because while he was part of this plywood business, there was a particular dispute that had happened once with Lalit, where one of his suppliers pushed him on a plywood one day, knocked him out pretty much. And what happened is they lit the building on fire. Right. But I think someone saved him. But after that incident, basically he stopped talking. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then it became like it just kept getting worse. So what happened is suddenly the family decided to do this puja, this ritual in the house, right? And they were all sitting in the puja and doing this prayer, and suddenly they heard Bhopal Singh's voice, the father's voice, the father who had passed away. And they it was like very soft murmuring kind of praying, but it sounded like the father was actually, his soul was speaking to them during this puja. Yep. So the family got very happy, and they thought that they were having this mass, like this audio visual phenomena that was happening, where they could hear the father or the grandfather, the old man, talking to them. Yeah. And when they turned, they saw it was Lalit who was talking, but it was not his voice. Now this is years after him not opening his mouth and talking. He suddenly started, and then now he's talking, but not just in his voice. That was his dad's voice that he was talking in. And while he was murmuring these things, he started instructing the family members to do stuff. Now, what he told his family was, when he came out of that kind of trance, he told his family that he was possessed by his father's soul. Okay? While he was possessed, the reason why he was, instructing the family members is because apparently the father's soul was giving out instructions in order to attain a good life. Yep. Now the mysterious part of the story is that while he was instructing the family, when the father had died and when their business was in the notion of taking off or whatever, they went through a very bad patch in their business. So they were not always well to do. Their business started going downhill. They owed money to people, and so it was not a good scene in the family. But as soon as these instructions started coming out of Lalit's mouth, things started changing in the family. Now this started becoming a recurring thing. Lalit would come, get possessed with his father's soul, and he would instruct the family to do this, to do that, whatever. So when they started following the advice of this father's soul, speaking through Lalit, their businesses started taking off. Their life started changing. Kids started studying better in their exams and stuff like that. The daughter of the family, she met a very good boy to get married to. Okay, and so all of this was working fantastic in their family. As the instructions were coming through Lalit, because Bhopal Singh was the man who actually started these businesses. So he was the one who had actually struggled through the period of him coming to a new town in Delhi and making a life for themselves, right? Now the problem is that Bhopal Singh, when he was alive, he was never so instructional, or what is the right word? He was never so demanding in terms of...
he was never instructive, I guess.
Yeah. And so he never was so staunch in like certain instructions and advice and stuff like that. He was the old man, he would give them instructions, but it was not that serious. But when Lalit was giving out the instructions, it was like more like very orthodoxy, like you have to listen to me, very like written in stone kind of instructions. Okay. So anyway, that was the odd part of the the conundrum that the whole family was going through. Anyway, now what happens is, as the days go by, the instructions get more personal. Obviously the family would listen to it, and that's the problem. 10 people were listening to this one guy who was instructing them, right? And the surprising part is that when they started following these instructions, things started happening, good things started happening. Dhruv started doing good in school. The sisters and everyone were like fantastic, living the best life.
Right.
Now comes the most sinister part, is that one day Lalit suddenly wakes up and he says, we got to do this ritual. And we'll talk about the ritual in a minute. But that ritual that they were going to do will change the whole dynamic of the Bhatia family. Okay? Yeah. On 1st of July 2018, in the morning, at around 7:15, 7 o'clock-ish, there was a neighbor, Gurcharan Singh, okay, who used to go on morning walks with one of the family members. Now, he noticed that Lalit, who used to be a part of that morning walk, was absent for that morning walk, right? It's very odd for Lalit not to go for these morning walks. So he said, okay, well, he's probably missed it. He's probably not feeling well. Now, the thing about these small towns, Josh, is that I used to do this as well. You'll have this one centrally located grocery shop that everyone will go there. They'll have credits with them. They'll be like, okay, can I have, milk or whatever? They will never go anywhere else, but they will go to that very grocery store. Right? You go to Coles, it's not here. Go to IGA. IGA is not there. You go to another Coles.
Yeah, that's the one thing I miss about India is the fact that we only had 2 grocery stores and that was it.
That's it. And so when Gurcharan noticed that Lalit was missing for the morning walk, he said, oh well, whatever. He finished the morning walk and then he goes to the grocery shop. It's like, finally I'll get to meet Lalit or the other brother or whatever. And when he went there, he saw that there was a couple of people waiting outside the shop. The shop has to open at 5-6 o'clock in the morning, right? Yep. But the shop wasn't open.
Okay.
So Gurcharan said, what's going on? Like, we know these people haven't missed a day.
A single day.
What's happening? Like, that's odd. There was a line of people waiting at the grocery store, thinking what's going on. So Gurcharan Singh said, you know what? I'll go and tell my wife about this. It's very odd. So he goes home and he tells his wife, like, this Lalit hasn't opened his shop, or the Bhatia family, their shop's closed. Like, I don't know what's going on. Can you just call their phone and tell them that people are waiting outside the shop? So the wife calls the home telephone.
Yep.
And it rings and rings and it keeps ringing, but no one answers. And she hangs up and then she tries again after 5 minutes. She rings and rings and no one answers. It's like, that's very odd, Now look, I'm used to it. When I can ring Josh, he doesn't answer, so I'm used to it. But Gurcharan was not used to Lalit not answering his phone or the family not picking up their phone. So the wife tells Gurcharan, hey, look, can you just go to their house and just make sure that they're okay? And Gurcharan Singh goes to the house, goes to the Bhatia family's house, and he tries to knock on the door. And no one answers. So he's knocking, but no one's answering. So he nudges the door a bit, and just with a little bit of a pressure, he just applies a little pressure on the door, and the door opens wide. And when he walks in, Josh, Gurcharan is in shock. He doesn't know what to do. He is just stunned. He just stands there. According to certain reports, and when he spoke to media as well, he said that he could not believe what he was seeing. Like, it was out of the worst nightmare. I'm pretty sure he would have, rubbed his eyes to see if he was dreaming. He would not expect to see the whole family that he knew, that might have spoken to him just yesterday, were all hanging in their house. By hanging, I mean they were all in a circle in the house. There was a mesh kind of like a grill thing in the ceiling, and every one of the family members had committed suicide.
Right.
So it was, I mean, I couldn't even imagine what he went through, right? Yeah. And I don't even know what will happen to me if I were to open up a door and see this, like this horrific scene. So he somehow gathered the courage, and he walked out of the house, and he quickly called the local police. The police received this particular notification, came within 10-15 minutes, and opened the door. Now, the police officer in India, Josh, especially Delhi, there's a lot of crime, there's a lot of murder, there's a lot of high profile shit that happens, right? Police are used to seeing a lot of shitty, crazy stuff. This constable is used to seeing the worst things ever. right? Police don't get called on their best days, on people's best days. They get called at all these things. But this constable mentions in his report that as soon as he entered the room, the house, he couldn't even stand there for more than 10 seconds. And he straight away gets out of the house and calls the ambulance. The police officer goes out, calls ambulance, calls backup, Within minutes, Josh, the whole street is flooded by people.
Yeah.
There's the whole neighborhood is out, and this is a very closed off area, so it's not like a massive property and stuff like that. There's houses close to each other. There's like a small road in the middle, and the whole town was outside their house wondering what's happened, and everyone knew the Bhatia family, so they wanted to know what's going on. And one of the biggest problems in India is the media, and I think it's a problem everywhere, but within minutes there were 10-15 mainstream media channels that had surrounded the place. They were trying to get their cameras out, trying to see what's in the house. Police were blocking them off, and there's videos of this, the mayhem, the sheer chaos exactly that was happening at that point. It's unbelievable. Police had to push away people because the entrance to the house was so narrow. Police were trying their best to avoid people taking photographs because this was a horrific scene that they've never come across, right? But media, obviously, they want their news, they want their bite for the day, exactly, and that's one of the biggest news that happened in Delhi. So now I'll explain to you what the police officer saw and the reason why he couldn't even stay there for more than 10 seconds. All of the family members, 10 of them, were hanging from the ceiling, but not just hanging, they were blindfolded. Their mouths were taped shut. Some of the bodies had their hands and feet tied as well. And the grandmother, Narayani Devi, she was 80 years of age. She was found dead in another room. It appears that someone else strangled her and put her there. Okay? Now there's all this commotion happening, and people are wondering what's happening, and there's media everywhere. And there's helicopters as well. There's media helicopters above their house, trying to get the best footage of the bodies being taken out, because and it's chaotic as hell. The members of the family, Josh, were found hanging from a mesh in the ceiling in the hallway, all close together. Their faces were all wrapped almost entirely, ear-plugged with cotton. Their mouths were shut with tapes, and their hands were tied behind their backs. There were 5 stools, chairs, how you stand there. There were 5 of these brand new stools. They were probably shared by 10 members. Their faces were covered with cloth pieces cut from a single bed sheet. The most sinister part also, Josh, is that the cloth they used to hang themselves as well is this very Indian bright colored cloth with different Indian patterns on it. It was sinister to the core. It was like so sinister. Now what happens is there was just this one member of the family that was still alive. The dog. The family dog. His name was Tommy.
Oh fuck, they probably took him in for questioning.
He was the only survivor in the house.
That's a suspect.
He was chained on the terrace, on the roof.
Oh, poor bastard.
And he had a high fever. Now this I want you to keep and the listeners as well. I want you to keep this particular detail in mind, and I'll talk to you about this later.
That's not foreshadowing at all.
Yeah. So when they found the dog, he had a high fever. So the rescue quickly came in and took him for rehab. Now what happened is the police, when they found these bodies, they discovered in total the whole family was dead. 11 people, Josh. Not 1, not 2, but 11 people of the family.
Every single one of them.
From the oldest to the youngest. Oldest being 80 and the youngest being 15. It's not really clear why they were tied in that way and why their mouths were shut. But later, during investigation, they will uncover, and we will uncover a few details that will explain to us why this happened.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's talk about the investigation. Let's see what was determined by the police as to what happened. So there was evidence, Josh, found in the house pointed towards basically mass suicide for occult reasons. Now, post-mortem examination, though, was a bit tricky.
Oh, right.
Because it showed no signs of struggle at all. Okay? There were no signs of injury.
Yeah.
There were no signs of struggle. No one forced anyone to do anything. And that's the thing. And I'm saying, even the 15-year-old was not forced to do it.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, due to the public attention and the nature towards this case, a lot of pressure started building up on the government in order to give them an answer. What happened? Was it staged? Did someone actually kill the the Bhatia family and hung them and staged it? We don't know the things that was surrounding this, and it was the same with the police. So they didn't know what was happening. Now, what happens is, the police initial report said that it could be murder, just staged as suicide. And investigation was done in terms of murder. So there was no and India's like that. Yeah. So if there's a suicide, they will first see, if there's a suicide note, what's happening, let's term it as murder if there's multiple people in the family that are dead. Police found, however, in the house, 11 diaries in the house, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All of these diaries were maintained over 11 years, Josh.
Oh, yikes.
Now, another detail that I want to point out is this number 11.
Yep,
okay? And these are the things that fucked with my head when I went through this case, okay?
Giving my nipples goosies.
Yeah. So, remember this number 11, okay? Yep. Now, the Joint Commissioner of the Police, the Crime Investigation Department, right? Alok Kumar stated, we have found handwritten notes detailing how the hands and the legs were tied, and quite similar to the manner in which those bodies were found, the 10. Obviously, the grandmother was found in another room. They all had all these notes that were written by someone in the family, and we'll know who it is, but these were handwritten over the period of 11 years. Every instruction given to them till the last day, the final day. Okay, they called it the final day. There were details written in the diary, Josh, that match how the bodies were found, with their faces covered, mouths taped, cotton balls in their ears. The bodies were discovered hanging in batches of 3, which is what the diaries also stated. That's the most shocking part. The diary also stated that the elder woman could not stand and hence should be lying on the bed, which was consistent with the discovery of Narayani Devi in another room found strangled. Now, the diary also mentions everyone will tie their own hands, and when the kriya is a Sanskrit word for ritual is done, then everyone will help each other untie their hands, indicating that the family was not expecting to die. Now, I will explain to you what this means, right? Let's go back to Lalit's story, Josh. So what happened is, when Lalit started getting these instructions from his dead dad, and he started getting possessed with the soul of the father, right? He started writing these diaries. Now, Lalit was also known in the past, he was a writer. No, writer as in he will document everything that happens in his life. He's an introvert, he doesn't talk, so he uses these diaries as a method of writing his day and what's happening. Anyway, over the 11 years, obviously after the possession took place, supposed possession, right? He started writing these instructions as to what the mother has to do, what the kids have to do, what the family business needs to do, where they need to put the money in, what they need to invest in, every detail. And they mention in the final part of the diary, this the last 7 days, they're going to prepare for this ritual. And on the final day, this is what the ritual will be. And we'll get into it. So, Lalit basically prepared the family for 7 days. Now, over the 11-year period, he's been instructing them. For the final days before the bodies were found, there were 7 days of preparation that the family did in order to complete this ritual. Now, this ritual that was highlighted in the writings or in the diaries was called Bad Tapasya. What that basically means is bound penance. Okay. Or it's basically being tied in order to get released of your sins, or to be free. Okay, so the Bad Tapasya basically comes from the ritual that mimics the banyan tree. So we've spoken about this, right? The reason why the banyan tree is so different, Josh, is because the roots of the banyan tree, basically what it does is it doesn't grow under the ground. Obviously the main root does grow under the ground, but roots are also known to come off the branches and reach out to other places in the ground. So when you see the banyan tree, you will see not just the leaves but these roots hanging. So when I was a kid, what we would do is hang on the roots and swing. So these roots that hang outside the tree, and so the Bad Tapasya and the way these bodies were found were mimicking a banyan tree. The way their bodies were hanging was basically the roots hanging off the banyan tree.
That's so fucking weird. Okay.
I mentioned to you to keep in mind the number 11.
Yep.
So I'll talk to you about the number 11, how it played a big significance, right? 11 members of the family. 11 years since the family passed. Since the dad passed. After that, 11 years of documentation. Now, a particular journalist who was, he was like obsessed with this, right? His name was Vishal. And so Vishal was very obsessed with this case and he wanted to get into the depths of this. He was the one who noticed these similarities in specifically this number 11. There were reports from Vishal, this particular independent journalist. When there were shots of this helicopter in the thing, and actually one person actually snuck into the house and took a video. So there's actually videos of these people hanging as well. There were 11 pipes in the roof that were like vent pipes or something, but they were exactly 11 pipes. 2 of them were straight and the others were like bent like a branch, like a tree. Okay, there were 11 windows in the house as well. There were 11 family members. There were 11 diaries. The number 11 plays a big role in Hinduism. Okay, in Hinduism, the number 11 holds deep symbolic and spiritual significance. Its appearance in the Burari case specifically, where there were 11 members who died and there were 11 diaries that found over 11 years, makes it more chilling, and more like sinister. Ekadashi, one of the festivals celebrated in India, is observed twice a month and is considered a spiritual and powerful day. Is the 11th day of the lunar cycle. Again, the number 11. It's believed that fasting on this day helps attain moksha. Moksha is a word for liberation. This may have influenced the Burari family also to believe in this ritualistic purification that they were going to go through. Okay. Now in Hinduism, there's something called the 11 Rudras as well. Okay. In the Vedic terms, in Vedic scripture, there are 11 forms of Rudra. Okay. Fierce manifestation of the deity Shiva, the destroyer and the transformer. Now Shiva is closely associated with death, rebirth, and then moksha, which is liberation, which is the central theme around the Burari case at the moment, right? Now numerology as well and mysticism, which is very deeply rooted in India. 11 is considered as a master number, symbolizing intuition, spiritual insight, and connection with the divine as well. Now those influenced by superstition might see 11 as a sign from the spirit world or the universe itself. So this number 11, the reason why I pulled this up is because just to show you, it was not just a plan. It's not just a 2-day planning, 3-day planning. This is a proper 11 years, 11 diaries, 11 family members. Like it was like the world was conspiring against them. Like some other world something was conspiring or planning this specific thing. Now this Bad Tapasya, right, was the final thing that Lalit had written in his book, in his diary. They were preparing for this Bad Puja in the 7 days. Now, according to Lalit, this particular ritual or this final act was supposed to be done with fasting and praying, and obviously they were not allowed to communicate with others. If there was, let's say, if someone was to come to their house, then they would have had to restart the ritual again. So for the 7 days, no one's allowed to associate with them. not associate, but no one's allowed to come into their house.
Yeah.
If someone comes into their house, it seems, or the theory was that it would break the bond in between the prayer thing and
the
moksha,
preparation.
right? And so for 7 days they were preparing for this. Now, according to Lalit's, or the grandfather, the possession, the ghost, the spirit's instruction was that it has to either happen on a Thursday or a Sunday. Now, bodies were found, or the murders happened on a Saturday night, early Sunday morning. So there was no way, there was no doubt that these were done by the family members itself, and hence the police then changed their investigation and they concluded that this was mass suicide. Suicide murder, basically, right?
Yeah.
Or murder suicide, whatever they call it. So when this, now comes the diaries. So what did we assume, or when you listen to this case and when you hear about the diaries, you'll think that Lalit was the one writing these notes. So what happened is police took the notes and gave it to a handwriting specialist, right? Now, the handwriting analysis revealed that these diaries were written in different handwritings. So it was not Lalit who was writing it. But later the police realized that there were parts of this diary written by Priyanka, the daughter of Pratibha, the widowed daughter of Narayana Devi. And also Neetu, the elder daughter of Bhuvnesh.
Yes.
So there were these two people in the family that were also writing in this diary. But it is believed that they were just writing it because Lalit was going into that possessed state and was dictating to them what to write. So these two girls were writing their story, like writing the instructions basically in the diary. Now, Lalit believed to have masterminded the incident. The crime branch believes that Lalit alone was responsible for tying their hands and legs of the family members. Lalit had told the family members that their soul of the father had entered his body in order to get to the family to follow him. Why would 11 people or 10 people listen to this one guy? So the theory behind them hanging, or them fulfilling this ritual, Josh, is that Lalit had told the family while the Bad Tapasya is happening, this particular ritual is happening, and when the preparation is happening, he had told the family that once we hang ourselves, and when the last minute arrives of your body giving up and your soul getting released, Bhopal Singh, the grandfather or the father, the Lalit's dad, will ascend from heaven because he's tired of using Lalit as the instrument to talk. Now he's tired of doing that. He wants to come back. Now, not just come back in spirit. They believe that Bhopal Singh will actually reunite with their family in real time. In flesh. Okay, on earth. And they were convinced by Lalit that once they go through the ritual and once they're dying, in the time of dying and being alive, that small space of time is when Bhopal Singh will come and rescue them. And that's one of the reasons why everyone were ready to go through this ordeal. Because they believed that Bhopal Singh will come and save them at the last minute. And the reason why they were tied is because Lalit somewhere knew, and suicide is like that, bro. And we've discussed this in the past, that the act of committing suicide, especially hanging, is as soon as you hang yourself, there is an instant regret that kicks in. It's not like jumping off. I mean, everything has an instant regret, but suffocation, asphyxiation, especially by hanging, is known to have instant regrets. Instant. As soon as you hang, you will try grabbing onto something, right? And that's exactly what happened. Now, when police were investigating the bodies, you know how I mentioned that there was this guy named Bhuvnesh who was the elder brother to Lalit? There were marks on his hand, like struggle marks, where one of his hand had already reached the rope or that cloth that he was hanging by to to release himself. Like he was struggling to free himself. And they were like marks on his hand that the rope that his hands were tied were pretty much loose. So which means they were struggle in Bhuvnesh, right? Also in the Narayani Devi, the old lady, she had bruise marks on her neck. Like she was actually strangled with the belt first, with the buckle. So there was the bruising of a buckle. And then she was laid on the bed. Just to give you context, Josh, this is my theory of what would have happened. Okay? For the 7 days, starting, let's say Monday or whatever, and they're going to finish the final day, what they refer to as final day, was, let's say, Sunday, right? So throughout the 7 days, they were being told this is going to happen, that's going to happen. Now in this house, in these closed doors, there's these rituals happening, these chants, these prayers, right? On the final day, which is the Saturday night, my theory is Lalit would have gone, tied everyone's hands, make them, go in that position of how they're going to hang each other. Some of the boys, especially the kids, their eyes were shut, so that Lalit knew, or whatever was doing this, knew that they will be struggled, they will be tormented, they will be screaming, hence their mouths were shut as well. And he would have gone and tied everyone together first. He would have gone to the mother, strangled her, killed her first, then hung him, like tied himself, maybe tied a loop or whatever in his hand or whatever, and then committed suicide himself, right? In the notion.
Right,
The problem arises where the 15-year-olds are concerned. So if Bhuvnesh was not telling people what they're going to do, is a different story. If the daughters were not going to tell people because they're old, and they're not old, but they're 20-year-olds, 24-year-olds, 33-year-olds, they're not gonna, they can't keep a secret. But the 15-year-olds, these were kids who never even mentioned to their friends that something like this has happened. But there were instances where these 15-year-old boys had mentioned to their friends that their dad gets possessed by their grandfather, and kids would just brush it off. The night they died, before that day, Saturday morning, these two 15-year-old kids were actually playing cricket with friends. And Bhuvnesh, the uncle, and one of the dads, he was sitting in the house watching them play cricket as well. So the friends were shocked. They were like, wait a second, these kids were laughing and playing. They were happy in the morning. We don't know what happened in the night. The daughter who was going to get married, at 11 in the night, she video called one of her cousins, and she was so excited because just a few weeks, but just before this particular ritual happened, right, or before they died, just a few weeks before this, the whole family had this massive engagement party. So if they wanted to die, why would they get their daughter engaged?
Well, that's exactly right. Like, what's the purpose?
What's the purpose? And the guy that she was going to marry as well, he was a IT engineer making a lot of money and come from a very good family. And so with knowing the facts that she was happy at 11 and the sinister thing took place just 2 hours after she spoke to her cousin and showing her wedding, shopping and engagement shopping, whatever, was just unnerving. Like it's very sinister on its own. Like it's sad as well.
Sad, it's just fucked up.
Exactly. A lot of psychologists were involved in this story, in this case. They wanted to know what made 11 people commit mass suicide. And so
there was no note regarding it?
There was no notes apart from these 11 the instructions, these diaries.
That's so fucking...
And that's the thing, Josh. If there were notes, it meant that they were gonna die. But the reason why there were no notes, because every one of the family members were convinced that the father, Bhopal Singh, will come ascend onto in their house and rescue them. So they were so convinced that they're gonna be saved that it was there was no question of them even thinking that they're gonna die.
Here's a fucking theory for you, right?
Yeah. Okay. Let's hear it.
You remember how you were saying like one of the brothers or someone had struggle marks and it was showing that they were trying. What if that was the father trying to come back and was like, Oh no, this
And
has
that's
gone
a good
fucking
point.
backwards. We're fucked.
So I've got a few.
Sorry.
Yeah. So that's a fantastic theory, Josh. Because if Bhuvnesh was already tied, how did he get loose?
Exactly.
If everyone's tied, who tied Lalit?
Yeah, exactly.
Who put, how did he manage to find the thing and, hang himself?
Yeah.
Now, anyway, before we go to those stories, right? Before we go to those questions, let's hear what the psychologist had to say with this. The sequence of the events that happened can be caused by something called shared psychotic disorder. It's a very famous term now. It's actually become really famous in recent times because there's a lot of things that have happened recently.
A lot of things happen en masse. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah. So that's what their conclusion was, where members blindly followed the instructions of one among them, the one who had superior power over them, the one who was leading them into this madness, right? The purpose that Lalit, why was he doing it, right? So it's basically Lalit was you call him mastermind, but also the most delusional.
Yeah.
Seemed like he was the most delusional out of them.
He's the most fractured in terms of like his
in
mental
health.
state. Yeah.
Exactly. And however, so what you said exactly. So he was one of the most fractured where his mental state was concerned, with all of his past traumas that happened and his dad dying, and it impacted him.
Just cracking your head on fucking concrete, I guess. Like,
and then almost getting burnt, alive. So
he just drew the shortest straw. My guy just was like, you know what, fuck this. If I'm going, I'm taking you all with me. Yeah.
But see, the thing is that the family members that lived in the family, Josh, were not the only family members. Right? There was another daughter who was married and was living elsewhere. With the husband, right?
Oh shit.
So there's not just 11 members in the family. There's other brothers, and there's one more brother that we'll talk about. And there's another daughter who actually lived far off. Anyway, like I mentioned, there was an elder brother who stayed in Rajasthan. He believed that this was a well-planned murder, and not a suicide. The brother stated that if this whole event was a murder committed by Lalit and his wife, who tied their hands?
Yep.
Okay. And the daughter as well, the other daughter who was living, she said the same thing. She came to the crime scene and she made, she fucking blasted the police officers, and she said, what the hell? Like, this, you can't conclude this as a mass suicide. This is someone else has come into the house and killed them, and staged it as a ritualistic suicide. And it's known in India, like people will do that because people know that they're spiritually very inclined. So to present it as a ritualistic order or like a ritualistic whatever thing may dissolve the case. Okay, now my questions. Now before I go to the questions, remember I told you about the dog?
Yeah. Right? The dog started talking.
Yeah. So the dog, I mentioned one detail. Now anyway, before we talk about the dog, after the story, we have come to the conclusion, and even Josh and like you and me, right? We both think that what you've shared and what I think is that there was something much more than what we understand.
Yeah, there's a lot more.
There's a lot more, right?
What we can comprehend.
Yeah, and if it is just a murder case, I don't think we'll be talking about it on Update with Nate and Josh.
Yeah, because it was just so cutthroat, this episode wouldn't be an hour and a half long. It would be like 10 minutes.
Exactly.
But like, disclaimer, there's a murder case, the guy did it, bye.
Yeah, exactly. The reason why I think that there was more things at play is, first, there was a CCTV camera that was present exactly opposite to Lalit's house.
Oh, right, yeah.
So now, what happened? On Saturday night, Josh, they saw two women of the house. You see these two ladies carrying these stools, these brand new stools to the house. They go, they bring these stools. They go back, they bring more. The police now get the footage, and they're going and they go through each and every frame, and they're looking and they're watching hours and hours of footage.
Gone through it with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah, and then they just see these ladies bringing these stools, and they're just normal, just behaving normal, and they go to the house and nothing after that. The only thing that they noticed was there was a food delivery that happened that day with rotis, right? There was a few rotis or something that was delivered to their house. After that, there was nothing. There's no one who walked in, no one walked out.
Yep.
Apart from those ladies who bought these tools intending to hang themselves, right? People also started noticing that Lalit was a bit odd during the engagement party.
Yep.
Now, theory suggests that Lalit was actually scared. Why was he scared? Was he planning all this, or did he suddenly come up with this ritual, this tapasya? Did he come up with this suddenly because when he saw the daughter, one of the daughters in the house getting engaged, was there a feeling of, oh shit, one of my daughters is leaving me? Or one of the girls is some kind of psychotic
you said there's a second
anxiety.
daughter, right?
Yeah.
And an older daughter.
Yeah.
So maybe that could have been a fear as well. Like the last daughter that I have is no longer going to be mine.
Yeah.
But
and she's helping him. Remember, she's also helping write those diaries.
But I need 11 people for this ritual. Then there has to be family. And if she gets married, she's no longer part of the family. So therefore, I have to take her with me.
Yeah. And so, do you think that Lalit actually believed that he was getting possessed by the dad's spirit? If you're talking more logical, right?
Yeah. Oh, dude, look, I'm torn 50-50.
Yeah.
There's a small part of me that believes, he's so mentally fucking tapped that he can't comprehend what's right or wrong. And
what's real
because to him, he was just like, nope, lost the plot.
Yeah.
Like, plot's gone.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm killing everybody and taking them with me. Right? And this is my idea of doing it. But the problem that I have in having stable... in determining a stable fucking form of thought, I guess, is that who tied his hands? I just need to fucking know.
Exactly. And if his hands were tied and there was no entry or exit from an outsider in the house, then who killed them, right? The other thing is that
the most polite burglar ever.
And there was
this man just lockpicks the door, jumps in, kills them all, picks the lock back to close the door and fucking leaves.
But the problem is that to kill 11 people, not a person cannot do this. According to police investigators, they said that seeing the family and their health, and they were all healthy and pretty active, young as well. Investigators stated that in order for someone to actually kill them and stage it, they would require 2 people to handle
one person.
to kill one person and stage it. So which means they would have required 22 people to come in and do what they did. But that wasn't clearly the case, right? The other major part of the story, and which we'll conclude with, is the dog. The dog Tommy, when they found him, I mentioned to you a detail that he had high fever. For an animal to get a fever, to fall sick, I don't know what would have caused it. Extra anxiety, excess anxiety. But the thing is that he was tied on the roof. Okay. Now, depending on if the weather was too cold or was it too hot, we don't know. I have no clue. But
if it was too cold, Tommy would have got pneumonia. Instead of a fucking fever.
But he was very. And if you see the video, there is a video of this dog as well, and he's tied up to this one particular pole, the vent pipes, right? But it doesn't stop there, Josh. When the rescuers took the dog, within a few days, the dog died of a heart attack. So technically, there were no survivors in that building, along with the dog. So now this... Okay, so everyone's died. Lalit planned all this. Fucking somehow he learned to tie a knot behind his hand and...
give a dog a heart attack.
And give a dog a heart attack. If you're talking about the human aspects of deaths that happened, that's understandable. They were following a ritual. They all mass hysteria or whatever, shared psychotic episode. Yes, but an animal, high fever, they take him to the rescue, and he dies of a heart attack within a few days of being taken. That when I heard that part of the news, when no one noticed that changed the whole story for me. Because I believe that there are certain things, specifically spiritual, that can attack animals.
Of course.
The proof of demons entering animals and stuff as well, or hurting them, is in the Bible. You know, the man in the tomb tells Jesus, you know, cast us into the pigs, don't send us to hell, and the souls go into the pigs. So is it possible that an animal can actually act as a vessel for demonic entities to enter?
I'm sure they could.
Yeah, I do not have much. I've been stumbling throughout the podcast is because there is no any other way of explaining the story, right? It involves a whole family. Like I don't know if people understand, but I know how close I am to my brother, to my father, to my mum. You know, if Narayani Devi was a part of this plan or part of this ritual, for a mother to die, yes, she will give her life for the family, right? But to know that her children are gonna die, okay, she's an old school mentality, whatever. Okay, she believes in rituals more than the thing. But the 15-year-olds, the 30-year-olds who are part of the 21st century, you know, social lives and social medias and getting married soon, you know, they themselves convince themselves
that,
to
you know
something
what?
that's...
My man is going to come back. Like, he's going to come in clutch. And he stalled.
Yeah. And that's what is the most mysterious thing about this case, Josh.
Yeah, it's really fucked up.
Yeah, and people also don't realize, Josh, specifically with people like us who constantly talk about, even though we do it for fun, right, for entertainment purposes, the stories that we research, it does take you know, a toll on you, right? Like it makes you think. You're not just blindly reading this and presenting it.
And we're not just like fucking. No, this is exactly what happened because we believe this, and this. No,
it's not that.
This is. We actually think about this shit. Believe it or not, I unfortunately think about it on the fly because that's when I work best. But, what Nat said is correct. It's meant to make you ponder, and that's the I guess the flavor of what
but also
what Upplate with Nate and Josh is about.
But it's also, Josh, it's also the fact that because we do this research, right, we tend to delve into these stories. It makes us more involved and more like you kind of question these things, start to question these things. You see what you hear one story on a podcast, that's different, but when you're presenting 50 stories in 3 years and these 50 stories are so fucked that you're thinking what's going on, whether these things are actually more sinister than what people can actually comprehend, you know. So before ending the discussion, I would state that connecting with the dead, okay, or communicating, or you can call it necromancy, or you can whatever, like mediums and stuff. I feel is that you never play with these things, because when you try to approach or when you try to connect with these things, you might want to you know, connect with your dead dad or your dead grandfather who you were close with, but there are high chances that you may not connect with them. Rather,
you're fucking with things beyond your control. And if it does end up getting further than it's meant to be, good fucking luck. Don't turn to Nate and Josh, because we will just talk about you and
you'll
probably
be another
read out an obituary.
You'll be another podcast episode.
You'll be giving us content, so I mean, by all means, go ahead and do it, but get someone to film it and send it to us or some shit. But there's don't fuck with spiritual shit. Right? Like, ward yourself, protect yourself, however you wish. Whether it's praying, whether it's fucking, I don't know, getting glowing tattoos on you. I don't care how. You know, because everyone's entitled to their own way of believing that they are protected. But fucking don't play with this shit.
Don't play with this shit, especially and
playing with dangerous fire.
Right. And one of the reasons why I brought Ouija board is because that's not the only version. That's not the only medium in which you can communicate with spirits. There's a lot of mediums.
There's a soldier board as well. Did you hear about that?
Soldier board.
Yeah. So whenever you go onto a soldier board, it'll just be like you. Sorry, that was fucking lame. There was a meme about it, and that's all that the Ouija board reminds me of.
The soldier board, play with the soldier board, but not a Ouija board. But I think the reason
don't crank it.
Don't crank it. The reason why I spoke about the Ouija board is because people don't realize that that's not the only medium that you can use. You know what Lalit was doing. What if his PTSD made him connect with something more sinister, more demonic in nature, thinking that it was his dad. With our research, with like what me and Josh have researched over the period of years, is what we've learned is that the negative spirits around, or especially the demonic spirits, right, they do intend to destroy life. Even the Bible, it says, the evil one comes to steal, kill and destroy, and I think they take pleasure in it. And if you were to invite these things into your family, thinking that it's your father, it might not be. It might be a demonic entity trying to destroy a whole family. That's their motive. It's collecting souls. You guys
have no idea like how many times I've been like, man, I really wish I could talk to mom. I wish I could possibly reach out to her or some shit like that, right? But the only way that I know I can, like, for me to communicate with her is in my dreams. And I've through had not even through prayer, dog. It's strictly dreams. When I close my eyes and I go to bed, there are days where I'm just fucking out of it. But there are times where I have met mom. I've told you about every encounter that I've had.
Exactly. So maybe that's
a dream, and it might be just my subconscious acting in a way that makes me have these communications or whatnot, or makes me dream about these things that happen. In a way, it also feels very, very real. Right? And that's, for me, that's how I distinguish the difference between an actual dream and whether it's an actual form of communication. Right? They say you're not supposed to remember your dreams.
But you do.
But why the fuck to this day can I recount every dream with every interaction I've had with mom?
And that's a good thing, because you're not forcing communication, even if it's subconscious, right?
I'll just ask for it.
I just
ask. I'm just like, I want
to speak to
honestly, like before I go to bed, I'll pray to God. Obviously, being a Roman Catholic, I'm just like, dear God, if you can, let me talk to mom, or let her come talk to me, or whatnot. And I'll just let it happen. I'll just ask that, and that's it.
Exactly. But you're going through a right medium. I feel like you are not using a Ouija board or something like that. No. Look, some people
and that's what I'm saying. There are so many opportunities where I could have done that. There are so many opportunities where I could have gone out and bought all this equipment to fucking communicate with ghosts and shit like that. But I'm not going to do it because there is a right way and a wrong way. And that's so true, and I like that for the final thought. This is one of the craziest cases that we've come across, and like Josh mentioned, no matter, even if you've lost a loved one, right, them being in the spiritual world is much better than them being in the real world. So to drag them into the real world is easier said than done, but it's coming from two people who've lost people, right? I've lost my eldest brother, who was a very close friend to me. Josh has lost his mom just recently, and so we believe that where they are at the moment is they're free of suffering. They let them be there. They have no business in coming back to this miserable life that we live, right? And so they're happy, and let them be happy. The more we try to cling on, and it's easier said than done. I'm pretty sure some people get crushed and broken, right? It really is.
But I feel like you have to think,
keep moving forward.
But you also got to think that one day death is inevitable. You are going to meet them. So wait until that time. You got to live for your kids or your family, other people in your family. In saying that, look, in today's episode, what we've learned is 11 lives, Josh. 11 lives were lost. There were 11 diaries for some reason, and a house that still echoes with questions no one can fully answer. Was it devotion? Was it delusion rather than devotion, or was there something in between? Look, the Burari deaths, it does remind us that even within the safety of your own family and faith, the mind can create its own reality, one so powerful it can consume a whole generation. Or rather, in the Burari case, if you haven't guessed yet, there were 3 generations hanging from that ceiling. 3 generations of the family just gone. Look, as we close this chapter tonight, our very precious listeners who make this show happen for us. You're the one who we do this for.
Yep.
We don't just walk away with horror. We walk away with a deeper understanding of how belief, trauma, and silence can intertwine in ways that defy logic. And perhaps the real mystery isn't what happened in that house, Josh, but how no one saw it even coming. Look, thank you to all our listeners for supporting Up Late with Nate and Josh so far. We will continue coming up with stories like this. So if you are a fan of stories like this, follow us on Spotify and everywhere you find podcast.
Yep.
In saying that, until next time, what time is it, Josh?
Oh, dog.
I think it's...
Let me ask my bones for a second.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm joking, motherfuckers. It's time for a piss break. Ha 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 ha. Okay, nobody laugh. Fuck you all. It's time for a smoke break. Everybody get the fuck out of here.
Good night.
Adios.
Ciao.